This is CBS 11 News.
Powerful storms are developing to the west of the Metroplex right now, and some of it is moving right in our direction. We could see large hail, heavy rain, even tornadoes before the night is over. Good evening, everyone. I'm Ken Molestina. Our team has got you covered from Mobile 11 to the CBS 11 studios, but we begin with Chief Meteorologist Larry Mowry.
Yeah, let me tell you, the Dallas-Fort Worth area is under a tornado watch until 11 o'clock this evening. It includes areas to the west and also to the south is where we have this tornado watch in effect. This one storm that's down here now to the east of Stephenville is the most intense storm we have. It has produced tornadoes and it's moving eastward now. I just have a new severe thunderstorm warning issued for southern Hood County, just south of Granbury, all of Somervell County, including you folks in Glen Rose, and northern Bosque County. You're under a severe thunderstorm warning until 6:30. Our radar is still indicating a very intense rotation with this storm, but the spotters in the field have not reported a tornado here in at least the past 30 minutes, so that's a good sign. Bad sign is that it's still producing some very large hail, 2 to 3 inch hail falling around Highway 67 heading over towards Chalk Mountain. This is moving off towards the east at about 25 miles per hour. So in Chalk Mountain, about 10 minutes is when that hail core is going to arrive, and also where the circulation is located. It'll get very close to you folks in Chalk Mountain. Now we've got our chasers on this. I want to show you, we'll show you the hail size here, up to tennis ball size hail right along Highway 67 here in County Road 209. So very intense hail with this storm as it's moving real close now to Chalk Mountain. You need to get in your safe room here in Chalk Mountain because this storm is capable of producing a tornado at any minute. I've got Mike Casey on the phone with me. I want to show you his stream picture right now too. Mike, tell me what you're seeing because you're real close to this storm.
Yeah, hey Larry, we're sitting here in Walnut Springs looking back to the west, and just with the visuals and the sun rays coming in, it's making it murky. It's really hard to get any good visual from here. Basically, you can see what the stream is seeing. That's kind of what we're able to see right now from where we are. We can still see the base. Mm-hmm. It's not as low as it was. The base is not as low, and we cannot get visuals if we can verify any rotation. Gotcha.
Okay, Mike, keep us updated if anything changes there. I want to show you a little wider view, too, from our storm chaser, Mike Prendergast. He's on this storm as well. His picture as well is on Omni. He's got a visual, too, from afar, and you can see in the distance there the storm. It's really round up. It's been very much rotating here throughout the entire column of the atmosphere and at the lowest levels as well, and that's one of the reasons why it has produced a tornado. Chopper 11 is flying over Cleburne at the moment, and just to give you a sense of how powerful this supercell thunderstorm is, it has agitated the skies all the way here up to Dallas and Fort Worth. Even though it's still, 70, 80 miles to our south, the blow-off from that storm has really just created amazing cloud visuals for us here in Fort Worth and Dallas, and even in the Cleburne area where Chopper 11 is flying at this very moment. And these are the ripples in the atmosphere. It's like dropping a rock in the water. You get these ripples that come out, and that's the same thing in the air. When you explode the air upwards, it creates ripples at the top of the atmosphere, and that's what we're seeing with these clouds over Fort Worth and Dallas. Just amazing pictures here, even though we have no storms here in the Metroplex at this time. The only storm we have is down there into parts of Erath County, heading towards Somervell and also northern Bosque County at this time. Let me go back to the radar and give you the wider perspective again, because we've got more severe thunderstorms back here towards Eastland and northern Comanche County. This is the same area where we had a tornado earlier, heading real close to Lake Proctor here, and then back towards De Leon. So this storm looks like it's trying to rotate as well. So we had a tornado near Stag Creek back towards May, and that was about 2 hours ago. And you've got a really nasty storm right over top of you again. Still severe at this moment with large hail and high winds, but it is capable of probably producing a tornado if it continues to strengthen and cycle up. More storms over Possum Kingdom Lake, more storms back towards Graham, and even more storms back towards the Throckmorton area. And that's the area to watch for later this evening as these storms march eastward. They will be pushing into Dallas and Fort Worth later this evening and overnight tonight, with the threat for high winds, large hail, and even isolated tornadoes. That's why we're under the tornado watch here until 11 o'clock this evening. The other report I have to pass along to you, because it's not very often in April I get to say this, but the roads are actually icy and slick near Dublin because of the hail that came down in Dublin. Up to baseball-size hail came down in Dublin. That's the home of Dr. Pepper. And the roads along Highway 6 are ice because of the hail accumulation. Ice accumulation up to 4 inches there from these hailstones that were coming down. So you've got another storm coming your way here in Dublin and Stephenville. The first one's moved off towards the east. That next one's going to come through. Again, the threat's going to be there for some very large hail. So let's talk again about what's going to happen through the rest of the evening. Meteorologist Jeff Jameson's been running the radar for us all afternoon long. And Jeff, let's walk us through the process here through the evening.
Yeah, and this is one of our future sky forecast computer models. And so far, it's been quiet in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, except for a couple of sprinkles. Of course, those dramatic clouds that many of you have been sending photos to us of, and a little bit of lightning as well ahead of the storms. What we're expecting, and Larry showed you this, is storms developing out to our west to continue to gather in strength and coverage and then sweep closer to the Metroplex, but not until after 7 o'clock at the earliest. And then much more likely we'll see storms develop much later on this evening, closer to 10 or 11 o'clock. You could see those storms making their way to the east, and this means an overnight threat of severe weather. And overnight, we could see some really heavy rain leading to flash flooding, especially in those areas north of I-20 up in Denton and Collin counties, where you've seen so much rain during the past week. And then tomorrow, we're going to do it all over again with another good chance of rain, especially tomorrow evening. The threats today, and we've already seen all of these on the map: lightning, hail, wind, and flooding in a high risk category. And tornadoes is not a low risk with that tornado watch. We've already seen tornadoes on the ground in parts of North Texas, and we're under a tornado watch until 11 o'clock. We'll have more on these storms coming up in a few minutes. Meteorologist Jeff Ray is in Cleburne with Mobile 11 this afternoon. And Jeff, what have you been able to observe at this point?
You know, Jeff Jameson, we are halfway in between Fort Worth and the cell you see over my shoulder that's popped that warning now in Hood County. So we're about 40 miles away from this massive storm here in Cleburne. We're about a mile away from the Cleburne Airport. And you can see from the north side that we have just a classic structure. Now, from the south, you were seeing that rotating base, but look above us. This is the anvil that stretches all the way into Fort Worth. So this is almost 100 miles of anvil coming off of the top of this storm, and that's the mammatus clouds that everybody got pictures of, and the Virga at the horizon, the rain trying to reach the ground, and occasionally we're seeing some lightning right over our head. But we'll spend the rest of the evening tracking these storms that have developed recently out to our west. And Ken, Molestina, this is going to be a very active evening still of thunderstorms across North Texas.
All right, Jeff, we're going to check in with you later. Certainly some telling pictures out there. You know, let's go ahead and send things back over to Larry Mowry now. He's continuing to cover the very latest and follow the very latest in this storm. Larry, what do you got?
Yeah, you know, I'm watching the radar here, and we're keeping tabs on these two supercell thunderstorms as they're moving, one through Eastland and now the one heading into Somerville and Bosque County. And I talked about the hail covering the road, and while I was doing that during our coverage here, Kristen Kiley just sent me this picture. It's up on Omni right now. I want to show you the hail-covered road here near Dublin, and you can see that right there. That's what the road looks like here in Dublin. Mentioned it was ice covered from the hail that was coming down. It still is here in the Dublin area. That's an amazing picture from Kristen, who just emailed me that while we started the broadcast. So thanks, Kristen, for that. Again, we got these two severe thunderstorms, the one heading towards the Glen Rose area, the other one in northern Comanche County. We'll keep an eye on them. If we get any additional warnings, we'll let you know right away.
All right, Larry, thanks so much.